Welcome to Point Blank. This is your host, Panama Crypto. Today, our guest is Crypto Birb. Birb does not need introduction, really. But for those who do not know him, he's the founder of the Birb Nest, one of the largest crypto trading communities dating back from 2017. Welcome, Birb. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it's my pleasure to be here on this very amazing quality podcast. I mean, I'm literally looking forward to answering all the amazing questions, and it's my pleasure and it's my honor to be here with you, my friend, today.
Thanks, Birb. So let's get going. Who is Crypto Birb and what is your background?
Crypto Birb, first of all, it's a person, right? It's a kind of like a creation. It's a brand that I created in 2017 that I associate with naturally. And for crypto, it stands for obviously dealing and starting with the origins of Bitcoin back in early 17, when every good altcoin that we know today about was just back in the price discovery because of lack of interest. And the moment I was joining crypto, it was all starting to pump and the greatest rallies were still ahead. So beautiful times back then. For what is my background? So my background is actually dual, or I guess like I do have multiple backgrounds, right? Because my first background, my first major is like chemical technology. I'm a master's of engineering of chemical technology, and I do specialize in polymers and composites. I did my master thesis on graphene, carbon materials. Pretty much mashed with the polymers. So super interesting topic to discuss. Then my second master's, I hope I really happily just passed very recently, which was the prolonged masters of Top School of Economics in Poland. Warsaw School of Economics, it's called, and it was in the management department, the project management. Well, at the same time, my master thesis was supervised by a leading professor for finance all over the university practically, and it was on Bitcoin technical analysis, right? So, so there are a couple of I would say backgrounds I try to cover at the same time. I do play the guitar. I do love music. I sing in a men's choir, the best men's choir in Poland, one of the best ones in Europe, and there are many other hobbies that I just am a big fan of.
And as I know, you need to hit some notes here later.
Maybe not. Maybe not, man.
So you have a massive group on Discord, and you have contact with many traders. What ranks the most new and experienced traders?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a perfect question. I think the lack of knowledge is general trigger to losing capital, to losing money, but not necessarily. It always kind of like one way or another it ends up losing money, but the rules are the same. If you're kind of not prepared for your test in school, right, then you're going to fail the test. Or if you try to apply some, or solve some equations, not knowing the theory, not having any sort of a background education to apply to that, then you're likely going to fail. And as much as in school, it's the responsibility is not financial, then the rules stay the same, and just not taking enough care to learn, to educate yourself before, let's say, approaching any sort of financial movements, investments. This always costs you money, and it often costs you big. The more you have, the more funds you have, the more you're going to lose without proper knowledge and preparation for that. So lack of preparation, if I was to name the main one, the lack of knowledge, lack of preparation is the most wrecking, both for new and experienced traders, because the knowledge for the experienced traders, there are high chances they are having greater knowledge than those who are not experienced so well. But at the same time, the lack of preparation is what glues the failure for both classes.
What about psychology? Even excellent traders get to a point where they hit a bad streak. How do they bounce from something like that?
Yeah, so the psychology obviously comes with that. matter, right? And the lack of preparation, what I mean, the lack of preparation, I also mean the lack of psychological preparation. Because any trader, well, should technically act rationally, right? There are obviously multiple like economic models, whether the market is efficient or inefficient or adaptive, which means pretty much like it's at one point it's efficient and another point it's not efficient. And efficiency kind of like associates with the irrationality. And the trader is efficient when they are rational, right? When they can calculate the risk, when they can literally just say, okay, I'm going to take this trade. I'm going to make this investment movement, this investment move because it's having the promising reward, right? It's having the promising reward versus what I can afford to lose. And this rationality is always kind of like mitigated or undermined by, well, by the psychology, by our emotions, namely two emotional states, which is the greed and the fear on the opposite edge, right? These are the let's say reasons, the main triggers for releasing the and unveiling the full FOMO, fear of missing out, that pushes you to make decisions because everybody else is doing that, right? And when it comes to buying, it's called FOMO, fear of missing out, or fear of missing out some moves. And on the other hand, you have the FUD, the FUD, right, which is this fear, uncertainty, and depression, which kind of like leaves you depressed when you're relying only on the emotions. So traders must definitely rely on their rationality, their mathematical skills, their calculations for what pays off well.
Let's kick it up a notch here. So we've seen the DeFi coins pump. We've seen Link pump like crazy yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the beginning of all season?
Yeah, I think this is kind of like a sort of alt season already, man. If you think about it, in every couple of months, altcoins tend to have some window, right? It often comes with some seasonality effect that altcoins tend to pump more often, like October, November than April, May, right? Like 2-3 times a year. There comes a altcoin window and altcoin season of intensified investment opportunities. More often than not, these are like low to medium time frame opportunities that come. And well, I do definitely call it an alt season, right? The thing is that it's been so mythical recently, like so mythical, like something so legendary that they focus so much on searching the old 2017 moves when every coin was moving like times 3x, 4x, 2x, like within a matter of a couple of days. And they focus so much on searching for this one on the current market that they are actually just missing the actual season that's going on, right? When DeFi coins, just as you said, are pumping left and right, 100%, 200%, 300%. But those who search, for 2017, they're not going to find it because we're a completely different market right now. And if you think about it, then well, back in 2018 or 17, as I said, you were having like a boom for altcoins themselves, right? It was new. The market was growing the first time ever. Like institutional money got some eyes hanging on the crypto itself. Bitcoin was trading with an insane like market capitalization back then, multiple times more than what it is right now. And all in all, 2017 was for altcoins. 2018, at the very early stage, was for ICOs. Okay, there was an ICO boom and euphoria. Then this past kind of like just forward, right? And the new season appeared for masternodes around like April and May 2018. Then the new masternode, actually, I mean the new masternodes were arriving every single month until they stopped because the market was already saturated with these. And that was the time that IEOs appeared, the initial exchange offerings. And this was like another season, right? Any IEO was pumping like crazy. Then you got like the actual exchange bubble, right? The exchanges were popping up left and right, so you could literally just get some exchange tokens, right? And then and watch how it all shapes. And now we are having DeFi, so that's part of the entire big puzzle repeating every couple of months based on the seasonality.
What do you think will be the next DeFi for the next alt season? I guess that would be somewhere in Q3 or between Q3 and Q4, according
Mm-hmm.
to the seasonality you share on Twitter past few days.
Uh-huh. But you mean this? You mean set? You mean kind of like a specific coin, or is it
Like
like a
I
different?
don't know, like we used to have like the ICOs in late
Okay.
2017, then on 2018 we had the masternodes
Mm-hmm.
hype, then on 2019 I guess we had the IEOs hype, now on 2020 we
Mm-hmm.
have the DeFi hype. So what do you think is going to
Yeah.
be next for 2021?
Yeah. So DeFi is definitely super hot topic. So I think it's going to take some time until, first of all, it kind of like saturates because we've just seen the first like a bigger wave of interest for DeFi, I would say past, 2, 3 months. So we are well, I'm not saying we are done. I think there are still a lot of coins that didn't move that they are still associated with DeFi, with decentralized finance. But at the same time, the next ones I would say well are worth watching are the STOs, right? Are the security tokens overall and the entire concept of tokenization that well, along with the support from DeFi, from the decentralized finance, let's say, environment ecosystem, these both are definitely able to open doors to institutional money even more, right? To tokenize some big companies that you can just read all over the internet. Yeah, some big companies all over the internet that you can just read the headlines, going that what was that, like the Mercedes? I saw a like a headline over the article today that Mercedes is going to work or be by some means supported by one of the DeFi coins. I don't want to like I cannot recall which one this was, but because there were a couple of these mentioned. But well, this fact alone that headlines start appearing means that the street already gets the news, and when the street gets the news, it's often, I would say, a bit late for the early investors, to say the least.
So you're saying basically that Tesos is going to pump like crazy next year.
Yeah, well, first of all, I do think it's just the way, for example, Link moves, right? The Link chain. I think overall holding at least some part of long-term, investments, long-term coins, okay, is going to pay off one way or another sooner or later. By just holding, Link throughout the past years, you could have made literally shit tons of money just for the holding it. That's the reason why also I keep repeating that majority of day traders would always do better by just holding rather than approaching the day trading without concrete preparations. Going back to what I was saying at the very beginning.
No doubt. So what is your overall market forecast for the next year?
That's a good question. That's a good question. As much as well, those who follow me, they already know, I guess. But I'm long-term bullish, right? I'm long-term bullish with Bitcoin. Like this entire local consolidation that's been going on past 3 months, to me, it's still looking more bullish than bearish, right? When we talk about the tops are most often much more violent than accumulation on like phases on the bottoms, right? The accumulations occur when everybody just every retail trader has already lost their money, so they will be extremely salty, right? And they would say the market is dead. There would be completely lack of interest, complete lack of interest. The
And
headlines, just
and
the way.
call everybody a scammer.
Oh, exactly, right. if you if you have nothing better to do in your fucking life, you just go out on Twitter and say everybody is, just everybody is a scam, right? No matter what they do. Uh, but that's the that's the point, right? So past accumulations, like any sort of accumulation, is always of lower interest, and when it's of lower interest, as I say, this is where the wise money just kind of like accumulates and buys, all the VCA, let's say, based entries in the positions for long term, more often than not. And when we compare how like the price action past, over the last time we touched 10.5, let's say, right? And I mean, let me just quickly have a look. The 10.5. I mean, in the February, it was February 10th, I believe, the top, or 11th. the top of 10.5 that we marked the last time. Now we marked and touched upon 10.5 again. It was in what was the day exactly? Like 1st of June, something like that. Um, then it's kind of like different. Every 10.5 rejection so far was more violent, was more V-shaped, right? To the downside focus, let's say. Well, this one is first of all not violent. It's just going completely flat and sideways past 3 months, and we broke out above the long-term downtrend. Okay, and we are now consolidating above all the important long-term averages like 50-week average, 100-week average, 200-week average. So this makes me bullish. Simply, this makes me bullish for the next months, and also I say for the next months until 2021, and the next months after that. That's my take, right? So if I am to choose sides, I'm bullish, and I would definitely anticipate new highs and all-time highs sooner or later.
Does that bullishness include legacy?
I would say yes, in a way, right? I would say yes. There is kind of like a new paradigm that you can see across the markets because of the, everlasting, like super low interest rates or even negative interest rates. They will literally, just go below zero. Exactly, right? Print the money left and right like crazy. Like there's no tomorrow. They would buy back all their stocks pretty much like what Fed's been doing, past months. They've been just, trying to control the recession with buying back, well, first of all, the bonds, the equities, just to limit, well, shorting opportunities, just to limit, cut down all the selling pressure and artificially, well, inflate the prices, right? But overall, as much as the first impulse always comes on the investment on the financial markets, on the legacy, on the stocks, on the transportation markets, and this is the one that always gets hit the most at the first time. Then there is just capital kind of like running away to, like, from equities to USD, to fiat, right? To fiat currencies. Then you see what you're seeing right now, all the buyback, which means again that there's like this new paradigm that bear markets will never exist anymore, right? And because of the printing millions and trillions of dollars and then buying back all the stocks. So this literally is also associated with the GDP that should technically decrease because of, well, increased jobless claims, just for an example, like entire unemployment, right? So the investment, let's say, markets is the first impulse, but the second impulse comes after 6 to 9 months that is associated with intense unemployment that would increase the GDP and slow down the entire economy. I mean, within jobless claims are like this kind, like 30 million plus just past months, right? Or so. You're not going to be able to push the entire economy just the way you've been doing past 10, 12 years, because the economy has changed, right? So I think there are still very high chances we see another letdown that is going to be more controlled, but still steadily bleeding, I say. Well, unless, again, the new paradigm has just been created of everlasting bull market that's never going to stop. And God knows what Fed comes out with, just perhaps they can decide they're going to print even more money, just like that.
That's great insight. So what assets are you currently holding and why in both legacy and crypto, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. So I'm a big fan of diversification between the asset classes, right? So crypto, I will not hold all my investments in crypto. That's the first one. I do believe, crypto is very promising with regard to the returns that are offered by the market. But at the same time, this is directly coming with very high risk. So literally for anybody just planning, to enter the entire savings, right? Or like pension funds, whatever. The savings for the older days. I would not say this is the best way to allocate these assets, these funds. The crypto itself, as I say, is a great addition to boost your entire portfolio for the profits. But at the same time, because of its extremely risky and volatile nature, I don't think it's wise to hold entire holdings, like, to make entire holdings be crypto itself. So apart from crypto, I do have, a lot of cash that I've been collecting past 2 years. And cashing out, just, especially in 2019 around the bigger mid-time frame swings, because I'm a mid-time frame swing trader mainly. Although there are some short-term opportunities, just like for the crypto ones like that right now, like the DeFi pumpings and all that. So there's no way I'm not touching that, right? So despite me being the mid-time frame trader, I prefer to play these that offer the good returns. But outside of crypto, and outside the cash that I mentioned, I do own the real estate. I do own physical gold and silver, that I'm going to increase my holdings in that as well. And overall, I think keeping the balance, like, of the diversification between completely different classes, like asset classes, including the derivatives, or let's say the stocks themselves, right? If if I feel right again about it, about longing the stocks, the equities, I'm going to do that. But I don't think that's wise as of now, just as of yet, with having all that I meant within the second wave of, let's say, economic slowdown potentially coming. So unless this one isn't validated, I'm not touching stocks for long-term movements.
I personally have like 1/3 in physical silver and gold, 1/3 in
Yeah.
crypto, and 1/3 in land.
Yeah, I mean, just having that in thirds is well, it's kind of like balanced, so it's not bad.
This episode is brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange that makes possible to trade with leverage on legacy markets from a single Bitcoin-based account.
So, Berb, what has been your best and worst crypto decisions?
Oh Jesus, the best one, I believe, I'm already kind of like said it the other day, but staying here for the long term is the best one, right? Despite all of the uh, fucking bad headlines that you could see, all of the December for Bitcoin past 2 years, that it's been dead, right? That it's not going anywhere. That it's just fucked up forever. Uh, I do have my own mind on that always. That's why it's so important to be educated across different, I would say, fields, especially when it comes with managing the money, the funds. So that you can simply make up your own mind, not necessarily listening to anybody else. That you can calculate yourself a good, well, position, good entry, good setup, instead of just relying on others, right? So that is, um, this this is what kind of like led me to staying here for the long term, which is, I think, one of my best decisions for that. The worst one, um, the worst one, I believe, I keep recalling to 2017. I believe it was September or August, and there was a coin called Triggers, that I was, just with way lower following on Twitter, right? Um, Back then, I can't really remember if it was like a couple of hundred followers. I don't even know that. That I was saying, about triggers, that I was just posting some charts back then on that, and I called it actually, and it started moving nicely. But I could remember there was some wild, like, oscillations, wild volatility during the day between, like, if I can remember correctly, 3 and 4 thousand of satoshis. Okay, so it's like 30, just percent up and down within a day. So it's as large. And then what later, kind of like it came out, I got stopped over the night just because of two dead stops. And right after I got stopped, it fucking rallied like times 20 next weeks actually. So so my eyes were bleeding just at a looking at this chart that I kind of like missed the train, despite calling that myself and people making tons of money on that.
A-
But
and
that's
and
the way
and
it
it
is.
and it had a lots of liquidity because it was listed in Binance.
Oh yeah, Triggers, was it listed on Binance? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I think it was. I
and
think
then
it
it was
was. Right.
delisted.
Yeah, it was delisted, and it's
Mhm.
actually funny because they were reported to have some sort of partnership with NASA on some gun, industry. That's what they were saying. Now that's why perhaps it was pumping. But later it came out that it was like fucking like just hoax.
Yeah, basically it was a coin that it was pitched that it was the number one best case for blockchain use because it was used as a token control device on weapons and guns and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Hmm.
So if fingerprint wasn't plugged in into the gun device, it wouldn't let you trigger the thing because
Yeah.
it was connected to the blockchain through some satellite
Yeah.
and what all this
Uh,
gimmicky shit.
yeah. And then later it came out that it was all fake for
Yeah,
partnership with
all
NASA.
fake partnerships.
Yeah. So it sucks big time, but well, that's the way it is in crypto, man.
Yeah. So, Burb, why you get so much hate in crypto Twitter for your paid group?
Why do I get so much hate? Well, I wouldn't say I get so much hate. This is always there's always some hate, from people. I believe whenever you try to build something, you need to be fucking prepared for people chasing your ass. Whatever you're fucking building, I swear to God, whatever it is. If it's going to be a grocery shop, I can assure you there are going to be haters just because I don't know, you're going to put some shade on their like fucking gardens or whatever, just because of having the grocery, right? Or that you're going, I don't know, if you want to build or start like a shop or e-commerce or whatever, you literally find thousands of haters just because you're doing something, right? Just because you're not like them. And I prefer, I've always preferred not to be like the rest. So I don't mind completely just standing against, the entire fucking world if it comes like that one day. I wouldn't hesitate to, just to go my own way because I know my values, I know what I can do, I know what I can offer to the world, and that's the direction that I choose to follow, rather than listening to some old fuckers that are sitting in their like basements, just commenting all day. So literally, if I was to say why do I get so much hate, first of all, it's not so much hate because I'm not the most hated person on the internet, but it's because I'm doing something and I'm just tilting, away from the row of people standing in a one queue. And whenever just tilts to one side or another, they're going to get fucking hate, just hate because they try to do something, just stand out from the crowd. That's how it always been, for the people. That's how it's always been for any sort of like businesses. So literally speaking, I don't give a fuck about it. They can like, the more haters I get, the more I kind of like am confirmed that I grow.
Exactly. Now moving to the Poland part of questions. How Poland crypto taxation looks like?
Oh, it's awful, man. It's awful. It's nowhere near like, Portugal and Netherlands. Okay, it's nowhere near like tax havens. So all in all, the entire taxation system in Poland is fucked up, man. I mean, they literally would take money just out of your breathing, just for your existence. You literally pay taxes. So taxation in Poland, well, there was an extremely like a curious case. It was back in 18 or 19. It's still, I can recall that. But there is a tax that over some kind of like a transactions. I'm not sure it's going to be, it's going to be easy to translate direct to some form of English, name taxes. But there was a tax that you could literally pay for any sort of movement of your cryptocurrency, no matter if it's going to be win or loss for you, if it's going to bring the income or the loss itself, because you are still going to pay the tax, right? So just because of the lack of proper regulations, because Poland is kind of like, still far behind, I believe, the crypto adoption when it comes to the regulations. It's not even by any means included within the Polish regulations, within the laws. So it was literally kind of like accounted in the same way it used to be, like that it was accounted the same way that you would do any sort of like transaction over like real estates, that you will literally be charged 1% out of the transaction value every time you make a transaction. So imagine somebody, there was actually a factual case on that. Somebody was trading with a bot, right? And the bot one day, just makes one trade, the other day makes 50 fucking thousand trades just to make sure it reaches some, percentage destinations and settings that you put. And well, out of every transaction, it charged 1%. of the transaction value, no matter it was it was win or loss. So the outcome, the eventual outcome was that the guy was supposed to pay, I believe, out of trading, with a size of 15K and losing it all, he was supposed to pay 1.5 million worth of dollars or something like that. And he actually paid that, and nobody's ever going to return this fucking money to him. So that's the way it used to be 2 years ago, but honestly speaking, not much has changed since then, apart from the fact that it's not charged from any transaction value, but it's charged, depending on, just the regular income tax, right? That you're getting just accounted just the way you would do with any other trading, traditional market income.
So right now, how is it taxable on crypto? Like, how much is it converted? Is it still taxable for 1% of your total transaction?
No. So that's what it used to be 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I believe
That's
it was
clear.
2 years ago. Well, doesn't matter much. I mean, now it's just calculated just as any other source of financing from the income that you get, right?
Okay.
So if you get, on any income, you get the income tax, right, which is 19 to 21%, I believe, depending on what type of income. But overall,
19
yeah,
and
it's not.
20%. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's fucking a lot, man.
You should move to the Netherlands. I hear theirs
know.
is like 1%.
I know, man. I know. And well, the entire case is, as I said, because Polish regulations don't really account and consider crypto to be money, right? It's just some form of asset, but it's not money. And this makes it kind of like, as long as you hold all of that, like as long as you keep making profits in Bitcoin, you're not going to be charged, with tax for that, unless or until you convert it into the Polish currency, the Polish zloty PLN, right? Because when you do convert it, when you do exchange it to Polish currency, then you kind of like, register the income, and you need to be taxed mentioned percentage on that.
So it needs to hit the fiat pair,
Yeah,
Poland currency.
Poland coin. Yeah, exactly.
What if you swap that to a stable coin like Tether?
So there is no
It's not-
difference because this is crypto and it's not money. That's
Okay.
what Polish government says.
Cool. So how is Poland compare in crypto adoption to other countries? Is it really advanced? Is it like in the Netherlands?
Yeah, so
Or
already
it's
kind of
way
like,
behind?
so it's the latter, man. It's the latter. I already touched upon that partially because Poland is lagging behind in a very serious matter. Behind, like, just these more, how we call that, like progressive countries, just like Netherlands or Portugal, as I said. So if you love crypto and if you want to cash out, don't fucking come to Poland, right? That's what I can say. And so just based on that, right? And with the entire, I would say, infrastructure, you're not having much of interest over that in media. The government chooses to avoid this topic because this is some marginal topic, right? This is not main point of interest. We are having the elections, the presidential elections, actually, the second round of it coming in the next week, if I'm not mistaken, the next or the one after. But I think it's going to be this one. Doesn't matter. So, the entire media focus is now obviously over that. But all in all, media don't really put any sort of like a spotlight or highlight, for crypto. You're not going to get like popular promoted conferences in Poland. I mean, there are a couple of good ones, but these are like, there's maybe 1, 2 that I would personally want to go to. I'll be definitely applying to go there as a keynote speaker. So high chances whenever it comes, one comes out, there's going to be my face, my bearded face over that blackboard or whatever. But yeah, the adoption itself, there is no adoption, man. There is no adoption. We're lagging behind, severely.
Panama looks exactly the same, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So stepping away completely from crypto and legacy markets,
Okay.
how Poland has fared with COVID, and what are your expectations of its impact throughout the world?
That's a good question. I think, Poland relatively, we have coped pretty well within the COVID stuff. And again, I'm kind of like torn apart, torn between the whether and to what extent it's inflated, just statistics just to fear, just to make people fear and staying home, so that they don't go, they avoid going into the streets to make a rebellion because of losing money over the recession. Or it's factual, well, it's factually so many cases, right? There were many cases, not as many as in Italy, not as many as obviously in US, because the population is a couple of times smaller, but or the America like overall as the continents. But I think Poland, like within this spotlight of Europe, has coped really well so far, right? There's not been any sort of like rebellions. We are, very obviously, like economically speaking, the businesses, obviously, we repeat a lot for what US does. That's what I can say. It's like US, well, if it's good or bad, it's another story, but US has always been kind of like this older brother that we will look up to, right? So whatever US does, we Polish people would try, the Polish government would try to copy paste that. By definition, it's never fucking going to work, because this is different completely, like geopolitics over that, different demography. So applying the same economic models is just like, this is one big mistake that what I can say. That's what I can say within kind of like smooth, beautiful words, rather than fucking swearing and all that. But yeah, overall, I think I'm positive, not on COVID, but I'm positive on how well we've coped. How well we've coped with the with the impacts of the pandemic.
How soon do you think this will end? Is this the beginning of the apocalypse? I saw news today that the Black Plague was starting in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
and a brain eating worm was found in Florida.
Good. Good. They would always come up with some interesting headlines that I can say. And there is a lot of fucked up stuff going on all over the world that we're not familiar with or aware of, that I can say that they won't put in the newsletter. So whatever they put into headlines, it's more often than not just to attract the viewers and readers. But that's another story. I think when it comes to the ending, I think what's interesting to mention over here is that past 2 decades, like every single market peak, okay, like market bubble, like 2000, the dot-com bubble, 2008, right? And then 2020, every peak has had its own virus, if you think about it. 2000 had the ASRS, right? Had the, how we call that? I believe it's it's the SARS. Sepsis, right? SARS, yeah. Sepsis, something like that.
SARS.
In English, yeah. Then you had the bird flu in 2008, right? Now you all of a sudden have like some fucking coronavirus that they say would come out of bat eaten in China. But like, again, like to me personally, I'm not a big fan of like, conspiracy theories and all that. I just use my own fucking brain for that. But all I can say from our observations, every recession so far, past years, past decades, has had their own virus. That's what I know fact for fact. And is this a coincidence? I think not. It's not a coincidence. And there is no ever coincidence when it comes to the governments of fucking states, of any state, if it's Poland or if it's European state or American state and all that. It always comes with strategic responsibility, strategic decisions, like months and years of preparations over the most educated and the most expert like people around, right? So the chances that it's a coincidence are very low to me. And knowing my analytical background for my engineering studies, I can say that I base that and rely on observations and on facts that I can tell, rather than what they tell me in media. So I don't give a fuck about what they tell me in media. I don't listen to media too much because it's a waste of time. And it's about, just kind of like thought programming. Just that's how media works. That's how you work. That's how I work as well, because we are Twitter influencers, right? So we influence the people around us. And that's how it all works, right? So media is just a tool for that.
And with that thought, we end our episode. I'm incredibly honored to have Birb on Point Blank. Thanks for coming in, man. Can you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, sure. First of all, or actually second of all, I very truly appreciate your invitation. I mean, that's been an honor. We've been friends for a long time already, so that's extremely good that we connected here. And you can find me at Crypto Birb on Twitter, which is crypto_birb, or on theburbness.com on our website, or cryptobirb@theburbness.com on the email. I could go on and on, but because we do have platforms, the Burbness Official on IG, on Instagram, right? We do have a Facebook, freshly now. We do have a LinkedIn. We do have Spotify, obviously, for our podcasts, our YouTube, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of it, but I'm very happy to be here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace.
This episode was brought to you by PrimeXBT, the exchange where you can trade without KYC on legacy markets with your Bitcoin. You can trade commodities like gold, silver, oil, even indexes and forex. Join now and get a 50% bonus on top of your deposit for trading at u.primexbt.com/Panama.